I was sitting here rewatching the Stephen Fulton WBC WBO Unified Champion. After he had beat Brandon Figueroa to unify their belts. When did that fight take place? My bad, really quick. Here's the punch stats while I'm getting the box rec up here. That was in November, December the 4th. This weekend, he's taking on Danny Roman, another former unified champion. For his WBO and WBC titles, meaning Stephen Fulton. So to break things down for you, the best way I can is saying, okay, listen, 29-3-1 with 10 KOs, very good fighter. However, he will not provide the pressure and the relentless onslaught of a Brandon Figueroa. But Brandon Figueroa and his brother, trained by their father, they have the same fight style. And basically, in my opinion, they're going to be a tough fight for anyone, but it's not the type of style where, you know, you can hold on to championships, especially going up against a slick boxer. So here was the MO of this fight, is that Steve Fulton from Philly, 20-0 with 8 KOs, WBC, WBO, again, unified champion. If he wins this weekend, should definitely be pound for pound, but everyone's pound for pound list is different. He was the cleaner, better, effective boxer fighter. However, in the world of public opinion, he lost the fight. Close fight, but he lost because he was outworked. Look at the punch stats. 1,000. That's Big J right there. 1,000. Nearly 1,100 thrown by Brandon Figueroa. 314 landed. Even though, you know, there's not that much of a punch difference in regards to landing. 269 for Fulton, 726. Still, he was getting outworked. Now, against Danny Roman, I don't think that's going to be the issue. I think he's going to have a better chance of getting in a groove to be able to outbox in a tough fight against Danny Roman. Remember, he lost his belts to Murodjon Akhmadaliev back in 2020, the beginning of 2020, before the country shut down, the world shut down, over on the DAZN when he was the Eddie Hearn fighter. Now he's fighting over on the PBC side. Notable fights against TJ Doheny, Gavin McDonald, Moises Flores, Adam Lopez. You know, very quality, solid resume. Wins after he lost his belts. Juan Carlos Payano, Ricardo Franco. Just a few weeks later, Murodjon Akhmadaliev, who has the other two belts, the WBA Super and IBF, in the 122-pound division, is going to be taking on Ronnie Rios in basically a stay busy fight. The problem I have is he's still promoted and on the zone, and Stephen Fulton is, you know, and Danny Roman are now PBC fighters. So you would think, looking at the rankings right now, that maybe these guys would be able to unify, and we have an undisputed champion possibly later on this year. But I wouldn't count on it. In fact, when you listen to Stephen Fulton, I know I can only talk about when I was on the Zoom call, virtual press conference a few weeks back. I uploaded it on the channel. You see that he don't really talk about undisputed like that. It's almost like he don't see it possibly being able to happen. Me personally, I don't blame him because of the politics involved in boxing, unfortunately. You know, don't be surprised if we see him versus a Brandon Figueroa too, or if he just moves up, you know, moves up a division. For example, looking at the PBC stable, yeah, you got the possibility of Luis Nery, you know, Brandon Figueroa. It's fights there that can be made, but it's not really a glamour division, if that makes sense. It's not really a glamour division, if it makes sense. And there's no real big fights that really call out to you outside of the Brandon Figueroa rematch. You know, maybe Luis Nery, but that's not really a fight that goes, you know, really calls you. I mean, after all, his career has been up and down. No telling what weight class he wants to fight in, meaning Nery. You know, 118 guys, you know, you got a Noye down there, but if he moves up, if he beats Donaire next week, June the 7th, you know, you would expect for him to go on to fight Paul Butler. It's just, you know, even if it's John Real Casimiro, like even the 118-pound guys, you know, it's just nothing between 118 to 122 that really brings in super money that we know that can happen. And I'm talking about, you know, Fulton versus Inoue one day at 122. Because Inoue, let's be honest, he's being favored to beat Donaire next week. That's going to be on ESPN Plus, by the way. Next Tuesday, June the 7th. It's a 5 a.m. Eastern card. I'm going to be here streaming during the fight anyway. So, you know, but, you know, I guess what I'm saying is this. I like Stephen Fulton. Very good. He's got the tools. The power is a bit concerning. 20-0 with 8 KOs. You know, the Brandon Figueroa fight, as we talked about, he's got outworked. Angelo Leo, I don't really consider him to be like a, boxer. Arguably, you can say that Danny Roman will be the best name and most skilled fighter on his resume. Here, let's take a little time out and let's go listen to the particulars from the first fight right here and tell me if this is a man who thought that he won the fight.
Is Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we have a majority decision. Here are the score totals. Judge ringside, David Sutherland scores the bout 114 to 114, even a draw. Overruled by judges Dave Moretti and Tim Cheatham. They both score the bout 116 to 112 in favor of the winner. He is now the unified WBC and WBO 122-pound champion of the world, Cool Boy Steph Stephen Fulton.
So yeah, that's a fight that they can explore. I mean, I would expect that Fulton has a rematch clause, right? If he loses to Roman, run that back. Or, if we're talking realistically in-house fights, then, Steve Fulton go on to fight Brandon Figueroa again before he moves up to 126, where he can possibly get some nice, solid, better competition to start with. Like, for example, Mark Maxeo versus Ray Vargas winner. Gary Russell Jr., he lost his father. No telling when he's going to come back. Condolences to his family. And also he's talked about moving up. And now that he don't have a belt, he can move up unless he wants to run it back between the Maxeo Vargas winner, because he was injured, Gary Russell, losing that fight. Stephen Fulton versus Leo Santa Cruz. They got to do something, because Leo Santa Cruz versus Lee Wood, they have to happen. And I'm interested to hear what's going to be going on with that. But he was still running into some political issues up here, too, with Josh Warrington, IBF champion, beating up Kiko Martinez again, and Emmanuel Navarrete. Nonetheless, Stephen Fulton has the goods. Remember, this weekend also, you're going to have George Kambosos taking on Devin Haney. So these main events are not supposed to overlap, from my understanding. But this card, Fulton versus Roman, is going to be on Showtime, 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'm guessing the Tank Davis versus Rolly Romero All Access Epilogue, the second episode, right? They only had one, or they only had, the epilogue, the one after the fight, following the fight week and, fight night, and, after the fight, that's going to air likely after this. David Morrell is taking on Kalvin Henderson. That's going to be the co-feature for the WBA World title. David Morrell is rumored, according to Samson, or is looking like the promoter of David Benavidez, that him and Morrell are going to be fighting. However, you can't unify those underling belts right there that that Morrell and David Benavidez has. For example, Benavidez is an interim champion. I highly doubt that the WBC is going to order him to fight Canelo. Canelo will probably be franchised before he steps into the ring to fight Golovkin September the 17th. David Morrell, he is the WBA world champion, but yet John Ryder is the mandatory for Canelo. Canelo was in talks to fight John Ryder. If Canelo would have beat Bivol this May, a month ago, he would have fought Golovkin in September still, and then would have fought, John Ryder in December. So, you would think that the WBA would order David Morrell and John Ryder to fight, but the WBA just makes me sick. Don't get me started there. But what I'm trying to say is, you can't unify the belt that David Benavidez has with David Morrell. You can't unify the world and the interim title. Well, anyway, he's going to be taking on the Kalvin Henderson. I don't know too much about him, but I did watch the and upload the Zoom call virtual press conference they had a few weeks back talking about the fight. And from what I can guess, this is a stay busy fight for, a guy like David Morrell, who, as you can see, 24 years old, 6-0 with 5 KOs. He is being fast-tracked. Very good fighter. What the hell? Toe fungus again. They're taunting me now. Anyway, I am going to be here covering both of these cards. Remember, next week, for those who are interested on Top Rank on ESPN Plus at 5 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, the card begins. You're going to have Naoya Inoue taking on Nonito Donaire in their rematch to unify the WBC, WBA, and IBF titles. at 118 pounds. And the only belt would be left is the WBO, held by Paul Butler, who got that from Jonas Sultan because John Real Casimiro used a sauna during fight week. Weird times in boxing. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. I'm T Street Controversy with Fight View 360. I am picking Stephen Fulton by a tough, unanimous decision. Please subscribe. Oh, and let me know your thoughts down below.